Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk take the roll, please.
Mayor Bro?
Here.
District 1, Morset?
Here.
2, O'Connell?
Here.
3, Rademacher?
Here.
Wyland is absent. 5, O'Malley?
Here.
6, Burchell.
Here. At this point in our agenda, we take comments and suggestions from citizens present on any item not on the agenda. Is there anyone that wants to address the council at this point? Anyone? One more time. Okay. Let's go to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk will verbalize those for us.
To approve the regular meeting minutes and closed session minutes of May 7th, 2007. To approve claims for payment in the amount of $333,678.32. A detailed description is available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the issuance of 2 regular operators licenses for the period May 22nd, 2007 through June 30th, 2008, and to issue 3 regular operators licenses through June 30th, 2009, and to issue 1 temporary operator's license to be used June 15th and 16th, 2007. Specific information is available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the issuance of a temporary Class B retailer's license to BNI Business Network International to be used June 15th and 16th, 2007 at River Rock Festival in Lakefront Park, contingent on council approval of the event. To approve the renewal,
Since they do not have that, should we not take that off the agenda, the BNI, since there's the issue of the
Yes.
profit?
Yes.
Please do
Remove.
take up. Thanks for catching that.
to approve the renewal and issuance of taxicab service license to FDS Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as A Taxi, Hudson Taxi, and issuance of A taxicab driver's licenses. Detailed information is available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the issuance of an amusement device operator's license to Thomas N. Thiessen, doing business as Thiessen Vending Company, and amusement device permits for 8 machines located in the Hudson Walmart store. To refer to the Plan Commission the application of River City Partners to rezone property at 109 Second Street from B3 Central Business and I-1 Light Industrial to B3 Central Business, and schedule a public hearing for June 18th, 2007 at 6:50 p.m. To place on file the quarterly report of the Water Utility Director, the Public Utility Commission minutes of May 8th, 2007, St. Croix EMS Commission minutes of April 23rd, 2007, and the Board of Review minutes of May 14th, 2007. That is all.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Morset?
Yes.
O'Malley?
Yes.
Wyland? Burchell?
Yes.
Rademacher?
Yes.
O'Connell?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Let's go to the back, second page, under new business. Request of Jessica Greener and Matt Sutler, 225 9th Street, for an easement to construct a fence within an unimproved, unpaved, dedicated alley. I thought we'd take that up so they wouldn't have to sit through the whole meeting, if that's all right. Everybody had a chance to read that request. I did make a drive-by today. Also discussed it with Jenny, who was on the other end of that particular piece of property. And it's our contention that the utilities could be reached from
The west
the
end.
west end.
Generally during tree cutting or trimming to keep the power line, free from falling limbs, and also there was a power outage in the alley last year. I mean, they easily access the alleyway, the unimproved alleyway from the west A Street, and so this particular fence permit would not create a problem for accessibility to that unimproved alleyway for utility maintenance.
Jessica has been cutting the grass there since 2001? Okay, so it looks very nice. He kept everything up. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
To approve, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We can work with Denny and David Gray for the particulars. All right, thank you. Let's go back to reports of standing committees, the Plan Commission. Next meeting Tuesday, May 29th, 2007 at 7 p.m. And we'd like to schedule a joint Plan Commission Council meeting on 5/31/07 at 7 o'clock to discuss the downtown development guidelines and policies.
Just want to try to establish a date far enough ahead that we could get information out to the public of the date of the meeting, so if they're desiring to attend. Don't know if that date works for the Common Council. The Plan Commission at their meeting, last meeting, seemed to think that was a workable date for them.
Should work out. It's fine with me.
All right, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Let's go down to Finance Committee. Application to BNI Business Network International for temporary Class B retailer's license to be used June 15th and 16th, 2007 at the River Rock Festival in Lakefront Park.
Based on the information that was presented at the Finance Committee, we do not yet have a nonprofit certificate status yet, so they need that, if I'm not mistaken, too.
To show that they meet the requirements for a temporary beer license.
You understand, Jeff?
Yes, news to me, so I just opted to do it 2 days for them.
Well, there may be need for a special council meeting.
Andy's here, I don't know.
He already addressed us. So we may have to take it up in a special council meeting, not just for that subject, but we may have another subject coming up. Okay? So you two are in concert. You tell him what happened in the Finance Committee. Haven't decided on that yet, but we'll let you know after our closed session this evening. Okay? Is that all on that one? Update on capital outlay purchases from 2005 and 2007 bond issues. That's information only from Betty. Take some time to study it. There's a couple items that we may have to switch back to their original designation. But it's information, I think, that Betty did a great job in giving us that information so we know where we are. Any questions on it that you may have in particular, just give Betty a call. Any questions right now?
Would like to point out that in the bonding for public works, there are many, many changes and a lot of minus numbers and some plus numbers. They all add up to the original $160,000. We're not over, we're not under, we're right on the mark. Just wanted to save you a little calculator time there.
Okay, renewal of alcoholic beverage licenses for the period 7/1/07 to 6/30/08. And our city administrator will give us a summary of what we are approving and what we are not.
Nancy made the revisions. I believe she gave everybody the final copy this evening. There were a couple of them that were on the list that shouldn't have been. There were issues that came up. Do we need to read them? There should be 3, 5, 7, 8. Do you want me to read through them, just so we're all on the same page? What would you like me
I
to
think
do?
for the TV
Okay.
audience, you should.
I'll just read their corporate names. Hudson, Wisconsin. This is for Class B liquor, Class B beer, the full liquor licenses. Hudson, Wisconsin Country Club, Inc., Barker's Landing, Inc., Cuisine Enterprise, Inc., Double Diamond Ventures, Inc., Gourmet Systems of Minnesota, Inc., Dick's Bar of Hudson, Inc., HAG, Inc., D&J's of Hudson Incorporated, Wisman Hospitality, LLC, Red Sub, Inc., Fiesta, LLC, JLMN.
No, this one is gonna be taken out.
The JLMN is,
The outstanding parking tickets.
well, the JLNM is off now too? That, okay. Okay.
Gotcha.
Class A liquor, Class A beer, Hudson Warehouse Liquors, Inc., Spirit Cellar Limited, Chaconi's Liquor, Inc., and SSG Corporation. Class C wine and B beer, beer and wine, food must be more than 50% of sales for beer and wine. Dragon Pearl Chinese Restaurant, Inc., Borden Nave Land Holdings, LLC, The Nova of Hudson, LLC. Class B beer, beer only. Ward Management of Hudson Limited, Kingdom Buffet Inc., Kurt T. Winkle Companies LLC, Chipotle Mexican Grill Incorporated. There will be additional ones. We do have 2 more meetings before the licenses expire, so as these issues are resolved, we'll bring the rest of them back to you.
Evan, I have a question. The Nova, didn't they just receive
We're still in the application process for their liquor license.
for the liquor license?
So this is, in the event
Wine
that it
and
goes
beer.
beyond July 1st before that other,
Okay.
this will allow them to continue to operate with just the beer and wine.
Thank you.
Does the wine, is that included in the liquor and beer? Or is that, so does that beer and wine license become available? Those licenses at-
Right, once they cross over into the full liquor license,
surrender.
then that beer and wine license. will-
Because the other one is all inclusive.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself.
Okay?
Move for approval of the licenses as read by Devin.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a quick question for Catherine. Will we be sending a letter to those who filed applications but are not being approved,
Yes.
telling them why they're
Yeah,
not being
yep.
approved?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We're doing it early enough this time so that we've still got plenty of meetings to get this resolved, so we don't have a bunch of special meetings at the end of June like last year.
And I thank the staff for doing it early. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We're down to Public Works Committee. Review bids and consider awarding contract for 2007 mill and overlay project.
We received 2 bids this year for the mill and overlay project. One from Tower Asphalt in the amount of $131,524, and the second from Monarch Paving in the amount of $134,043. Public Works Committee recommends awarding the mill and overlay contract for 2007 to Tower Asphalt. That is in the amount of $131,524.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The next one is preliminary resolution regarding special assessments for 2007 sidewalk curb and gutter replacement program, resolution number 11-07.
Move to suspend the rules.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Move to adopt resolution number 11-07.
Is there a second? Any discussion, comments, or that you'd like to make to,
Yes, I would like to point out to those who may be watching the areas that we will be working on this coming summer. Sidewalk replacement is the first issue, and that will be on 8th Street from Vine to St. Croix, on 1st Street from Commercial Street to St. Croix Street, on 2nd Street from Buckeye to North Street, on 3rd Street from Locust to Division, on 4th Street from Walnut to River, and also on 5th Street from Walnut to River, and 6th Street Locust to River Street. Curb and gutter replacement will be on portions of 17th Street South, that is a cul-de-sac, 8th Street from Vine to St. Croix, and 6th and St. Croix Street. There will be assessments that will go out in conjunction with these, and you'll be receiving notices. All those people who are affected will be receiving notices from the city.
very good.
Call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Reconsider bid submitted for sale of 1987 Public Works bucket truck.
We had originally received a bid of $2,101 to buy our old bucket truck, and we held off accepting that bid because we thought perhaps we could get more money. We were wrong. 2101 is our highest bid, and I move that we accept that bid from Mark Stanky in the amount of 2101.
Second.
Any,
It is going with a,
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer,
yeah.
because it was red
Disclosure that it's
tagged.
as is
Yeah.
and-
This is red tagged. We do not carry any responsibility on this vehicle.
okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Plans and specs for 9th Street, Aldridge Avenue Storm Sewer Project.
We had a thorough discussion of this issue in Public Works Committee meeting at 6 o'clock tonight. There are still some additional factors to be worked out, so we beg your indulgence and ask that we postpone this item until another time.
But we will do that this summer, because
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We're not trying to beg off
they
the
got a
work.
call on that and said,
No.
hey, when are you guys gonna start?
A lot of different.
Well, and the issues are that the piping that we're going to be putting in, expanding from 18 inches in some area to 30, well, it's all going to be 30 inches. So there will be no longer any backup of stormwater flooding any area. But we're going to be crisscrossing the path of other departments, and we need to find out where their pipes are. Are they above our pipe, below our pipe? Where is it?
Did you have a chance to discuss those low areas that are caused by the water department's hydrants and/or hookups?
Well, that was part of what might be
Okay.
included in this cost.
Thank you.
We've initiated discussions
Glad
with
you're
DC already.
For clarification, is this going to be assessed, or is this an outlay project?
Don't know, actually, at this point, because it involves several different departments, and we're going to have to get a ruling from Catherine. Right now, we're not
Maybe
talking about any
some
assessments.
assessment, no, there'll be assessments maybe to the water department for some of those areas.
I don't know that
I
they
see
would be
Jim
making
jumping out of his
citizens.
chair.
No, if you're
Not to
speaking
the
of the citizens,
citizens,
no.
yes.
No, we're assessing the other departments
Okay,
Yeah,
for their portion of what we're doing. No, the citizens, no, there'll be no assessment at all.
thank you.
We've already bonded for this.
right. And they were flooded 2 or 3 different times. Okay, let's go to unfinished business, update on projects. Chuck, you did give us a summary. You want to highlight those for us and the TV audience? I'll give you mine. I think.
Chuck, I've got one right here.
Well, just, again, 9 and Aldrich, as you know, we're a couple more items. It's our intent to present plans and specifications before the Public Works next month for both Carmichael Road and Crestview Drive, as well as the Cooley Road and 11th Street. So you can expect to see that in a month. Other highlights, they are working now installing the Riverwalk lighting. You can see they're out there, and so that'll be in within the next couple of weeks. That project will be completed.
Was there a change order for proper wiring on that job, or what was?
The only item there was the riprap behind the dike road is not as uniform, and so the thought was in a couple of those lighting posts that there's going to have to be a little bit of a concrete extension to
Oh,
make sure
okay.
that they're
I knew there was
they're
some
level.
change there.
Good question. I didn't know if you wanted me to walk through every one of these or just touch the highlights.
Well, the one that I'm primarily concerned with, and always have been, is the Carmichael Road in Crestview. As a matter of fact, I talked to Tom Zulli, and if the striping contract does not include that turn onto Carmichael off of Crestview, he will probably stripe that himself.
I agree. I've looked at that, and it does need to
That's
happen. And
really bad.
If it's over, even if it's for a couple of months before this project takes place, I think it's well worth the dollar spent.
Council want to have any questions about, to Chuck about the projects? He's going to keep this up for every meeting we have, right?
Right.
Thank you.
And I think that's
Appreciate it.
good, and we thank you for doing that. Okay? Let's go to B, consider revisions to Municipal Code Chapter 21260 regarding placement of dumpsters on public property.
Move to suspend the rules.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a second. If you've got that in front of you, maybe we should explain to the TV audience what that involves. Who's got it in front of them?
I have, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, it was requested by Public Works, I
Right.
think, a couple meetings ago, that we just put a provision in the code allowing for longer-term placement of dumpsters on public property, and it just says some of the conditions that the city can require insurance, safety considerations, compensation, and that if the city does come up with a standard fee, it can be included in the Public Works fee schedule every year so that you wouldn't have to include it in the ordinance and amend the ordinance every time you wanted to change the fees.
So this includes most of the probabilities that it could occur as it relates to dumpsters on city property, right?
Yep.
Which we never really formalized before.
No, it would still be a contract in each
Yeah.
case, but at least it gives us clear authority of the city to do that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Old business, consider request of GCI Builders for the city to dispose of city property west of River City Center abutting First Street. Denny's gonna give us a,
There's an update of a memorandum update I laid on the tables. That was prepared about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Mark Putman and I spent some time discussing this morning, and we believe that the revised plans provided by GCI are substantially improved from what was received upon the request for disposal of the land west of River City Center. There are elements that still raise some concerns by Mr. Putman and myself. GCI is represented here tonight, so they're certainly welcome to make comments. I think Mark also is here if I... Let's all be out in the hallway discussing something. I guess my concern on this is there is progress being made. I think there's a lot of work to be done. I didn't want to give the impression to GCI that we simply were going to say no. We're not willing to work with them. I do believe there is an opportunity to work with GCI here, but still there's some work that needs to be done. I think if we can send a message to GCI tonight that they're heading in the right direction, and if that effort continues, that something could be worked out with the city property, unless it's the desire of the Common Council simply not to dispose of it. If that's the case, then we want to know that tonight, so they can revise their plans. I don't know if Mark or you here?
are we gonna see the revised plans as it relates to that piece of property as well, or what?
Jazz Rising is the architect for GCI. I think he'll make some comments, and we'll continue with the discussion.
Can I put it up here on the easel? So basically what we have here is, if you may recall from back in February 22nd of this year, Mark Putman had put together some of the other planning drawings for you, and we had discussed things recently, and mainly what that particular design was asking for was a different property line than the one that we had asked for way back in September or so. So what that is, it's a little harder to see here. The property line is right here at the corner. It's 32 feet in the same direction of the property, coming straight over to here, and then tie back in right at the edge of the building, and then it just connects back over. That square footage is 13,820 square feet. And the reason for that having a larger jog back here is we're shifting the building down. The original one was long. It had the segmented pattern, 90 feet, stepping back 10. This is a much revised plan from that. 2 larger massings that have their own push and pull effect, but they're shifted and offset of each other, and then they're joined by that glass atrium. So with that offset comes this portion of the land to tie into here. So we've got basically everything you see on here is very similar to what we had seen earlier on 222. I had the same plans as Mark. We had overlaid certain things, comparing things to make sure this is very close to that. Okay? So that's the equivalent on the land. That's where we are right now. That's what we're asking for. Any questions related to that?
Chaz, you are preserving a replica of the original street that divided that super block, correct? If I read your plan correctly, there is a break in the buildings there, is that right?
Right, this is the lower level, so we have the underground parking back over here. This is that drive that splits it in a large parking area you need some kind of organization to it, so splitting it made sense anyway. It also goes back to the original concept of having the one large city block that sometime was abandoned, merged into one large one, going back to that concept. So to bring that further through on the different floors, that's splitting it in half, so traffic pattern would be where it used to be.
I bring it up because I just want to comment, that's an element, whatever you do in any future renditions, don't lose that element. Because people can now, under this plan, be able to drive in to that area and see the river where they can't today. And I think that's a huge plus.
So maybe I can just point out some of the features on here. What that actually will provide is that there's a covered walkway through here. It's interrupted at one point just for the entry into this area of the building, and it picks up again another 120 feet, and then it interrupts again with this other traffic from vehicular traffic. There's a lower level pool, and then it picks up again with possibly some covered areas over here, but we're getting very close to the parking and so forth, so that this area right through here, the covered walkways may or may not be there. They may have to be shorter in the depth, but right now, mainly that area is through here. And then on the other floor plan, which is above, you can see that. Can I show that to you now? It'll make more sense. You can see the upper floor. This one's a little bit more stripped back. Okay, so on here you can see it makes a little bit more sense with the drive in through here. There's the upper level parking that's off of 2nd Street. So you have its own parking area here. Come in here, there's a hotel drop off. This is the glass area for the hotel lobby. Clear, you can see throughout the back toward the river. The two halves really become more apparent as you see this here. Here's the other one, but you can clearly see how the buildings step back. So some of the other features too is this is an area that's all covered. There's a sheltered area here. You can walk underneath all the way through and back out here and all the way back. So if you're downtown further north, coming back over here, you can just walk along here and then either come in right through here and then enter, or you can continue on and go through the hotel lobby, or come down here, which this is more of a public area right through here where there's a lot of interior shops. Restaurant over here on the corner, and then again looking back out toward the river. So the idea is that you get these vertical or east-west views to the river right through here, and then there's different ones coming through just for traffic flow down here. So dealing with hotel, they need a little bit of privacy, and yet still having this half be more of the public, so that on the main level is more split like that.
Will there be different heights on the back side of that, or I guess on the riverside, different heights throughout as it goes along?
Yes, like I saw it here, the restaurant, there's an outdoor patio area. This is at the same floor as here. So you're talking a step here of about 5 feet, and then you go to 12 foot to this area right through here. And then when you get to this portion that's up above, there's different patios on the 2nd floor, which is the hotel. And up on the very top floor is the condos. Let's pull this down, it's easier. That's not, I think I pulled that off of there. I got that somewhere else. Well, basically, it's going to show you that other floor. I must have it over there. To answer your question, yes, there's patios, there's pushing and pulling, there's balconies for the hotel. Some of the balconies themselves have a wrought iron railing that would protrude out. Others have a recessed covered balcony, and they vary in size, depending on the size of the suite or if it's a standard hotel room. Sometimes they're on the corners. So there's a variety, I guess, there. So.
What's the maximum height of the tallest point?
Of this, well, there's a variety. We have our quote-unquote lid, you could say, at the 45 feet. There's about anywhere from certain portions are 6 to 18 feet difference on that top floor. Now, the condo floor, we're still waiting on a few things from how many condos we're looking for. And we're still talking to some of the investors on that because we have a larger footprint, so now we have quite a bit more space to work with up there on the top. So that will vary depending on what we find out a little bit more this week with some other.
But none exceed 45 feet.
Well, nothing's above that. No, it's
That was
at that point and then lower.
Okay.
How does, Mark, is this something that fits in with the vision that you created for us? Is this, we're on the right page, right direction?
Quick answer, yes. The key aspects of a number of access points to the building, are they there? Yes. Is the site volume, the space behind the sidewalks maximized? Yes, pretty much. There's some question regarding the most efficient structure, where the columns go and what the plank length is, and how to obtain the most efficient structure, which, as Alan Chess points out, has to carry all the way up into a multi-story structure. That's a big deal. Sometimes those things where there aren't buildings to be supported in terms of perhaps the parking configuration might yield to inefficiencies in structure that might yield more parking stalls. That's something that really needs to be studied more, and there's another week of study to figure out whether that's right or not. Chaz, you're involved with the structural engineers trying to figure out how best to do that. We've talked at some length about that issue. There are perhaps as many as 90 stalls in the play. Now, I think we've all at one point or another been into a parking garage that was a little too tight. That's the last thing we want. Our quantity that we studied first attempted to push the quantity as best we could, pushing the perimeter of the building out to the sidewalks as best we could. Where this ends up really is a bit of study yet. But in terms of the commitment to try to find as many parking stalls as possible below grade is there, and it necessarily is a balance between the structure and the count. With regard to some of the aspects of the plan where, for instance, we showed a restaurant in one location that differed from where Chas has shown it right now. I think we both have agreed that, geez, maybe we ought to let the hotel and the restaurant experts tell us where the restaurant ought to go. What a concept. So that's, as I understand it, a meeting that's to be had here in the next week? Or
This week.
Is that correct? Yeah. With regard to some nitty-gritty issues of location of, where does a semi come up to drop stuff off? Those kinds of issues have to be resolved as well. But those, frankly, are cause and effect details that, I mean, they're serious and they're important, but those will be worked out in the matter of course. The Scott, the point you raised with regard to visibility through and connectivity through, that is probably the only significant point of negotiation right now, and it has to do with cost, and it has to do with parking configuration below grade. Our favorite is obvious. We drew it on 2/22/07, or at least published it there. There's, I think, public input necessary on adding to that guidance. I think those are the main points that I can think of. That's another long answer for a yes. It seems to be going the right direction.
Short, as far as previous ones were concerned. Denny,
Yeah, Mark and I discussed it at links this morning. They're heading in the right direction. We want to work with them, and to repeat myself what I said earlier, I think it's premature to say yes or no on the land, but they want to try to get a response from the city as quickly as possible. So hopefully this week, Mark and I can work with them to really make sure that they're meeting and attempting to fulfill those proposed policies and guidelines that we've prepared. And at that time, I think Mark and I, if we're satisfied, will very strongly support a proposal that would utilize the city property. We think the project can be a better project if it utilizes the city property.
Well, seeing we're going to have a meeting on, next meeting with the Joint Plan Commission Council, you'll have more details at that particular time. Why don't we make that decision that evening? Is that okay, Al?
Actually, I would like to give Denny what he's asked for, which is an indication from this council meeting tonight. And I'm going to steal your words here, Denny, that we agree to continue to work with the developer on this project. Denny, I believe you wanted an indication from us that we have a willingness to continue to work with Al, with Chase, and I move that we indicate to them that we're willing to do that.
I'll second that motion.
I think that's fine, but the old business on the agenda is whether or not we dispose of that property. And that's what I was referring to.
Oh,
Okay?
Well, we're not ready to act on that tonight.
I agree with Scott, and we should definitely bring it up on the 31st.
Yeah. So you're agreeing with both of us? Scott first and me second, okay?
Hi, Ed Dulac, principal on the River Sunny project. So the timetable would be on the 31st. We would vote on that. We'll continue to work with staff and Mark on the project as is. Councilmember O'Malley, you brought up something. Our vision is the through glassway through there. We look at it more as a pedestrian throughway than maybe a drive-through way. Is one of the things, and we want to leave that open to discussion. But I think we're all in agreement that it will separate the buildings, but the outside public will be invited to come through there and enjoy those river views and get down actually to the river through that project and through stairs, elevator, whatever we need to do there to make that happen.
So we'll see a little more detail. We can make a decision as it relates to that piece of property on the 31st, where Planning Commission and the council are together.
Yep.
Okay?
And all the guidelines that we've received so far, I mean, the only one was the throughway with the cars going through was the one that we had issue with. The other stuff we're on board with. Thank you guys for your hard work and everybody here, and, we'll continue to work with you behind the scenes.
For your cooperation. We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Go to new business. Cooperative Fire Protection Agreement between the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Hudson Fire Department. Chief?
Yes, this is a renewal of an existing agreement. I believe they have a 5-year limit, and then the U.S. Fish and Wildlife likes to renew their contracts. We do have a portion of Hudson Township that it is actually U.S. Fish and Wildlife land, and that's kind of what the agreement is for. In other words, if they have a, fire on their piece of land, we'll still respond there to put the fire out.
Is that part of the state park then, or what is it?
No, it's out there, it's way on the east side off of Kinney Road.
Oh, okay.
There's a piece back in
Yes,
there.
I know where that is. Okay.
It's a U.S. Fish and Wildlife
Yep.
piece of land.
Okay.
Thus far, I've never went to U.S. Fish and Wildlife fire that I can remember, or, they've never
Quite a
reciprocated.
woodsy area. As a matter of fact, I think I hunted that for deer a couple
Right.
years ago.
It's a little better access now with the development out there, but it is kind of hard to get to.
Okay. So you're recommending it?
Yes.
Need a motion, gentlemen?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Local government property fund insurance coverage for city-owned buildings and property in the open. Resolution number 10-07.
Basically what this is kind of a cleanup. This is who we have our property insurance with. It's a state plan. It's a cleanup. They want to make sure everybody has current resolutions, and some do, some don't. So just to make sure that everybody does, they've asked that municipalities pass this resolution.
Move to suspend the rules.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Move to adopt resolution 10-07.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or comments? Guess we had them. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Let's go to D. Application of Jeffrey Johnson for special event permit for River Rock Festival in Lakefront Park, June 14th to 17th, 2007. Includes setup, tear down dates. Are we going to discuss that now or postpone it until we have more data? Chief?
We were gonna postpone.
He may give us an update of where we are today.
I actually have an update of about 5 minutes ago. Jeffrey Johnson is scheduled to come downstairs, take care of some old business, and then I think you indicated earlier you were thinking of a special session, so I should have more information tomorrow morning.
So we leave that for another meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Update on health insurance options.
I provided everyone with an update of where we are on the health insurance. I will keep working with the gentleman, well, with both Wausau and Northwestern. You know, if we get to the point where we are able to go out for quotes bids, I will contact the local people again just to make sure they're involved. But, you know, if anybody has any questions, that's kind of a summary of where we're at. I've been keeping in touch with everybody, so that.
Check with Al for some guidance.
I talked to Al for about 20 minutes on Friday just to make sure that I was understanding everything, and
Part of the issue was, last year, I believe, that we didn't have the applications completed,
right,
That's right.
and we can't get a bid without that.
right.
Exactly.
I was wondering if Catherine can check into our contract to see that we have to give 90 days to get out. Have you looked at that? or-
We just discussed that today. I did do some research, made some
Okay.
phone calls down to Madison after our conversation.
Sure.
I have not heard back from them. What Al's alluding to is the difficulty we have is insurance companies, underwriters don't want to go out more than 90 days with the health apps because health can change in 90 days. But the state plan requires us to give us 90 days notice in order to get off there. So it's, you know, we're trying to find out if there's any wiggle room on either one. You notice in the memo from Mr. Bodine that he commented he was trying to see if Health Partners on his end could do anything, give us a little more time. But I am checking with the state to see if it's a statutory thing, is it a contract thing?
We must have a copy of a contract or something that,
I don't know how long have we been on that insurance? I mean, that was way before my time.
Sure.
So we'd have to find that and check with the state, so.
Well, let's keep this on the agenda for each meeting.
Okay.
So we get a current update.
As question, how, were we like 3 or 4 applications short last
And it was
time?
more closer to 10, and I've already addressed that with the union representatives, not our local ones, but the regional ones, were supportive of us getting it done. So the issues was local, with some of our local people citing privacy issues, and so that's something I'm gonna, again, I've been working on ahead of time so that, and as I indicated in the memo, I've asked both Northwestern Mutual, for Health Partners, and Wausau to take a look at what we have for a plan. The union contract states that it has to be substantially equivalent, which is kind of fuzzy language, but I would like them to make, if they've got something to offer that's very close, I want to be able to present that to the unions in June or July, rather than 2 weeks before so that they can come back and say, well, we have a problem with this, and we have a problem with this, so then we can go back to the insurance companies and saying, well, can you change this or this? You know, I don't want to be doing that all in the last 2 weeks and then have it be a timing issue,
But
so.
we have contracts, 2 contracts coming up in
Correct.
January, so can we say this is your new plan versus say having to come up with something substantially equivalent?
We would have to negotiate with them. We can't just tell them that. They would have to agree to change the language in the contract.
I don't understand that. It happens every day.
is our
Businesses,
new
we're going
plan.
to this plan this year.
It has, the language in the contract, which was something that was.
Which
before-
expires though.
Right, but we have to negotiate a successor. We can't just go in
I
and,
don't understand that.
we would go to arbitration is what would happen. And if we didn't come to an agreement on the health insurance, it would go to arbitration. And we could win, we could lose, it would depend on the arbitrator. But the language in the contract says substantially equivalent. If they would be willing to, do I think they would give that up? I don't know. I would be surprised if they would. But health insurance is gonna be the first item out of the gate. And it's gonna say, you know, you've gotta cooperate with us somehow. Either you've gotta allow us to change plans, or you've gotta start paying more or something, because
I
something's
think,
gotta give.
Devin, we talked on the phone to say, we'll pay 50% of a single plan, single person, and that's the best thing we can start with. I mean, that would change considerably. You'd want a better,
Right, well.
cheaper plan.
And just letting,
A lot of negotiation from
Right.
that point.
right.
Yes.
Right.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand why we can't say, here's our new plan, it's full coverage, you're not paying for anything, and go from there.
If they
choose to go on strike, then that's how it goes.
Well, they can't go on strike, and I mean, that's not, if Wausau or Northwestern for Health Partners comes in and they have a full coverage plan, yes, we can change, but the union's in the contract. Again, I didn't write the contract. The contract says they have to agree to change the insurance.
Let's start out by deciphering the contract we have.
Right.
Move to the next step and identify the procedures as we get to the point of offering them a policy that is similar or even less than what we have today. Is that okay?
Yes.
Because I think we can massage a lot of smoke here and really not come up with any conclusion.
Well, we also have to check what else has happened in the area, because we've gone to arbitration every single time. Jack,
Yes.
we've negotiated many of these contracts, and we've gone to arbitration every time. And those arbitrations are decided on what has prevailed in other comparable circumstances. So we really we need some time to research those
They look
elements.
at comparables being other governmental units. Unfortunately, they don't look at private businesses.
But we should prepare ourselves to have the comparables.
Yes.
So that we
Yep.
can take a position based on the comparables.
Yep.
And one last thing that I think we should try and get a health history for they say they can't pull it out. I can't believe they don't have that information. I mean, it's just,
If the information is pooled, I mean, I don't disagree with you. Humana and the state said all the information is pooled with the rest of the people in Humana in the state that's under our plan. I mean, I've asked, I don't know if we can force them to give it to us, but if they pool it,
We might be able to get somebody in office to ask that question.
yep. Because I think that's not acceptable.
Okay, any other comments? We appreciate you being involved in this, Al, with your background and experience and knowledge. Before we go into closed session, oh, you have one.
Yeah, I did want to get a little more direction, if you don't mind, on the renewals, liquor license renewals. There's a couple that are, can be taken care of just by payment of some outstanding bills.
Right.
Others, they have not had a licensed operator on the premises during this license period. So I don't know if you want me to send a letter saying the city council intends not to renew your license because of these failure to have a licensed operator on the premises on such and such a date. And what happens then, I just want you to understand the process, is that they have the right to a hearing. And we have a hearing on it, which is, got to have a court reporter and that type of thing. Another alternative would be, you've got to come in and get enough licensed operators to, staff your premises.
Can we say that and say, unless you do that?
Yes.
We will
Yeah, before
not
such and
consider
such.
renewal.
Yeah, before such and
That's
such
what
a
I'd
date,
like
the
to
next
see.
council meeting.
Based on what you said.
Yeah, and I related to my experience over the weekend, I think that it would be very direct and to the point and catch their attention best if we were simply to tell them the truth, which is, we had the opportunity to renew your license tonight, and we've declined to do so. Because you do not have enough, you've been operating without licensed operators on duty.
Unless you comply to the,
Actually, I would just leave it there and let them decide what their next move is, actually.
Well, I have
They're
to
gonna
give
call
them
up and say,
notice
"What's
that
the
they
next
have to
move?"
have a hearing. I mean,
Okay. I want to really grab them by the nape of the neck and get their attention on this.
Well, what it would be is, the council intends not to renew, you may, at its next
Unless you
council
comply.
meeting, you may, well, is it unless you comply, get your licensed operators?
I think we're in agreement with that, aren't we?
I would actually leave off that last phrase, Catherine. You're
What?
giving them the out right there. I would just say, hey, you're not getting renewed, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it, but,
Yeah.
I mean, they know why they're not getting renewed.
Well, we have to tell them why.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're not getting renewed because you didn't have licensed operators. End of sentence. And then they'll come back and say, well, we're going to get licensed operators. Fine,
it
then do so.
Before the next, well, why don't I just tell them, do it before the next council meeting?
Right.
Or
Okay.
we'll schedule a
Yes.
hearing.
Because they're gonna call up and say, what is the next step?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Okay, we got that?
yep.
have a couple of proclamations, and then we want to hear from the Alderperson, City Attorney, and Administrator before we go into close. First one is the Emergency Medical Service Week proclamation. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service providing life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas the members of the St. Croix EMS and Rescue, with a roster of 50 EMTs, of which 18 are at the EMT paramedic level, responding to 1,552 calls during 2006. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the members of emergency medical services, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas the 2007 theme is extraordinary people providing extraordinary service. I, therefore, Jack Rowe, call upon the citizens of Hudson and all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 20th to 26, 2007 as Emergency Medical Services Week. And the next proclamation is for National Public Works Week, whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the effective operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets, highway, public buildings, and solid waste collection. Whereas the 2007 theme, Public Works Moving Life Forward, reminds the public that the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, and skills of the public works employees dedicated to improving the quality of life for present and future generations. I now, Jack Rowe, Mayor of Hudson, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through May 26, 2007 as National Public Works Week. By the way, we are having a Public Works picnic, which is changed from this Wednesday to Friday because of probably a rain date. So we'd like to see all of you there if you can attend. Have a nice little get-together and...
What time is that,
anybody-
Jack?
Starts at 11?
Debbie, 11 o'clock? 12 o'clock?
That's at
Noon. Noon.
Prospect.
So, anybody who wants to be there, please join us. Okay? Now, any alderperson for any future agenda items without discussion?
I just want to make one comment about the EMTs. That comes to 4 a day, an average of 4 calls a day that they respond to.
I talked to Eric today, and they said that they used the boat in a life-saving operation over the weekend where a guy had fallen out of a boat and was treading water for about 15 minutes and almost succumbed, and they were able to pick him up and save him.
They were actually doing training just up the area,
Mile
so they
north.
were there right away to...
Would like to point out to everyone that, just as with cars, drinking and driving don't mix in boats either, because that was the,
Not even if you stay in the boat.
yeah, that was the prevailing situation here.
Right. City Attorney?
Nothing.
City Administrator? Okay, we're going to go into a closed session, convening a closed session pursuant to 19.951C Wisconsin Stats to consider recommendations of the ad hoc committee regarding candidates to be hired as street maintenance employees for the Public Works Department in 19851E and 19851G Wisconsin Stats to deliberate regarding Lakefront Park Seawall project contract negotiations and to consider with legal counsel considering litigation in which the city is likely to become involved regarding the Lakefront Park Seawall project contract.
Move to go to closed session.
Close, second.
Roll call.
Morset?
Yes.
O'Connell?
Yes.
Rademacher?
Yes.
O'Malley?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes.
What's he standing there for? Rain?
We're enclosed.